Good afternoon, everybody, and this is the first episode of Duramax Diaries, where we are going to be working on my 2007 Classic 2500 HD. We'll be doing the Kryptonite front end ultimate package set, along with a lot of other work: CV axles, ball joints, steering box, hydro boost pump, a lot of things. So stay tuned, and we're gonna nip it out one by one. Follow along with me, and I'm gonna show you how to get it done. Hopefully I can learn a little bit from you guys too. But here we have a new steering box. We're gonna be installing this steering box. I'm gonna give you the rundown on everything. First I have to take the old one out, but here's what we have in store for us. We have the full Kryptonite upper control arm package, as well as the center link and the tie rod package. Now I also have some CV axles that are going in and a bunch of other parts that are going in. So on the driver's side of the vehicle, the steering gearbox is going to be located right here where these bolts are in the frame. If you look right under this area, underneath, when you have the skid plate taken off and you have this bottom bracket removed, you will see your gearbox. It looks like this. Now I damaged mine a little bit, so we're going to be replacing this. Here's the bolts that go through the other side of the frame rail. We're going to want to spray these with some penetrating lubricant, and there is also two lines up top. So let's go up top. And we are going to have to take these lines off, guys. You can see them down there. I'll get a good angle. Those two lines right there, those are power steering lines. That's going to hold power steering fluid. It's all fed through your power steering pump. And it also goes up to our hydro boost here. This is why we're going to be replacing this hydro booster in here. But we got to get those two lines out right there, guys. And the best way to do it is to use one of those open-end wrenches. We're going to go ahead and take those lines off. And if you can see, guys, I'm using an 18mm open wrench. And you're going to be able to get right in there like this on that first one. And after you loosen this first one, then you can get some better access on this second one without this line being in the way. So go ahead and focus on removing this first line, getting it out of the way, and removing the second line. Some guys I see like taking off their intercooler or their boost pipe here so they can get a better access from this angle. But I think it's easier to come straight through the top. You don't have to take that pipe off. But you have to do it the way I said. You have to take off that first line first and then the second line. And be sure to have a drain pan and a good amount of rags underneath to catch any fluid that's going to spill, because you will have some fluid dripping and leaking. So you're going to want to go ahead and just put rags everywhere. Get a drain pan down and get rags everywhere, so when it starts dripping you can control it. You want to control that drippage. So let's see what happens. Okay guys, we are in here. I'm going to get a better angle. You can see right there where my finger is. I got that line off. Now we're going to twist it with our finger and get it off completely. And there she goes. She is off. And now that this is off, we can kind of get this out of the way a little bit and move this over so it doesn't, you know, drain all over the place. I just want to put it in a nice location. There we go. How about there? Let it drain out. But now we have to get to that second bolt. I have got this other one loose now, so we're going to take it on off and pull it up. And that line is just gonna free float right there. After you hang it up, just leave it right there. Now our two lines are detached. Now we need to get this one bolt off of the steering column. If you look at the end of your steering column, there's going to be a small nut right there that holds the steering gearbox and the steering column linkage right here. You're going to take that bolt off. Right there, that little bolt. I think it's a 10mm. Guys, I'm sorry for lying to you. It is actually an 11mm, not a 10. This little bolt, where are we? Let me get the best angle for you guys so you can see. I'm going to lock onto the bolt here, and then I'm going to show you where I'm at and what bolt it is. Okay guys, here's the bolt you got to take off. I put the wrench connected to it. You'll see that little 11mm. We need to go ahead and loosen that off. And bust her free. And this will allow us to free our steering gearbox once we unbolt it. Once you take this bolt off here, this steering column will actually slide right up. It is movable. So there we go. It actually just slid up with ease. Don't slide it up too far though, and keep everything kind of in line. But that came out so easy. We are now ready to take our 3 bolts out of here. 1, 2, 3. Now after everything is disconnected, you want to go ahead and take your 3 support bolts off, but keep in mind that's the only thing holding this gearbox on, and this gearbox is heavy. So when you get down to your last bolt on top, be very careful. They got these bolts out. This gearing box is going to want to come down on me, so like I said, make sure you got someone holding it for you. If you're by yourself, good luck. I got these bolts pretty loose, so with my hand I'm able to undo them, and with my other hand I'm holding the gearbox steady so it doesn't fall on me. I've got 2 bolts out, and I'm on the last one. And here we go. She's coming down. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that, guys. The old gearbox is out. We've got the old gearbox out. There's our 2 lines. Now that we have the old steering box taken out, we are going to reinstall this new one, or install this new one, remanufactured one. And we're going to want to put our arm on there. This is Kryptonite, and they say 184 foot-pounds of torque when we're putting this back on. Now, just to make sure the gearbox is centered, I went ahead and I made a line for a reference, and I'm going to spin it and count how many spins I have on each side. When it fully rotates, that's 1 spin. 1. 1.5 spins almost. So now we are back center, and I want to go 1.5 spins the other direction to make sure it's center. So there's 1 spin. Now I'm looking for almost a half. And that's not good. See, so now we want to do the whole thing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way to the right, as far as we can go. We're going to make a note on here with a marker. And see how many full revelations we have. This is all the way to the right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/4. So I want to go almost 1.75. I'll go 1 whole turn. That was 1 whole turn. Now a 75. That's about right there, guys. We're centered. Now we are good to go. And our gearing box is back in the same spot, so that's awesome. Now we got the steering box back in, put the 3 bolts back in to mount it up. I held it up with one hand while I drilled it with the other, got it started. I went ahead and put the arm back on, but the thing is, you're always going to have this little bit of room because it's a tapered spine. But tighten this bolt as tight as you can, and then get it up. And then remember, you got to come back here with the torque wrench and torque this to 184 foot-pounds. This nut. And do not hook the lines up yet, because you have to replace these 2 O-rings it comes with. Here's the old O-rings that came off the old lines. You do not want to use those, and you want to look in there and make sure the old O-ring isn't stuck in the line. You want to get it freed out if it is, so you can put these 2 new ones in. With the new gearbox in and the lines hooked up, we are now going to put our steering column back into position. Slides right down in there like that, and we can put our bolt in that hole. With the steering box done and those lines hooked back up, and you get the steering box where it needs to be, we're moving on to the hydroboost. To take this off, it's going to be a 15mm nut right here with the 13 on the back just to hold it, because it's going to want to spin on you. So go ahead and take those 2 bolts out. Then we're going to go inside the truck, right under here. Underneath your dash is going to be 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're under here. You guys will see them. I can't really get any light in there, but there's 4 holes under there. Correlate them with this. because here's how it goes in. So it goes in like that. So if you're looking at it from where we just were, those are the 4 holes. Those 4 studs coming out will be where those 4 studs coming out will be where those 4 bolt holes are back here. Pointing at 1, you can see 1, and then 2, 3, 4. You can see them in there. That's how we get our hydro boost out. We put our new hydro boost in and hooked all of our lines back up accordingly. I haven't put the 2 bolts on yet because I want to show you guys this. Underneath here, let me shine the light so you can see. Underneath here, right here, there is a little plastic clip that engages. Let me get the lighting nice. Okay, there's a little plastic clip that this pedal goes into. Oh man, let me get a good look for you guys here. Right there, the hydro boost pump. That metal pipe coming out hooks to this plastic piece. And it has this little connector here. You need to pry this piece out and then slide it down and it'll come out. But guys, you gotta mess with that in there to get that clip off to release the brake pedal so your hydro boost can actually come out. But the 4 bolts are right here. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. We're gonna go ahead and tighten those up. After we tighten those down, we are going to come over here and tighten these down. All right, now that our new steering gearbox is in and our hydro boost pump is in, we want to take off this return line here, and we're gonna go ahead, and I went and got some hose. We're gonna hook this hose up to this port and let the other end drain into a bucket. With that being done, we're gonna start the truck up and turn the wheel all the way to the right and all the way to the left, nice and slow, until all the fluid is bled through the system and we no longer see any dirty fluid coming out of the end of the hose. We want to see clear fluid coming out of the end. And the entire time I'm doing this, guys, you're gonna need 2 people, because the entire time you're doing this, you need to make sure that you're filling up the reservoir with clean power steering fluid. You don't want to run it dry and suck air in your system. So the whole time you're bleeding the system, make sure there's somebody slowly adding fluid into the reservoir while you're turning that wheel. Now that our old fluid is pumped out, we want to hook the return line back up to your hydro boost, start the truck back up, pump the brakes, turn the wheel, check your reservoir, and you're good to go, baby. Okay, we are going to be moving on with the Kryptonite tie rod and center link package. This is called the Ultimate Front End Kit. And guys, this stuff is heavy duty. Now I've got the old center link here. What we're gonna wanna do, just for reference, is just measure how long this center link is from end to end. And guys, you're still gonna have to get a professional alignment when you do a project like this, no matter what. But this is just to get it as close as possible, because we wanna assemble the new center link to be about the same length as this one. Now we have the center link installed and the tie rods installed. Everything is up there, tightened down. You want to put 46 pounds of pressure on these bolts here. And then over at the other side, we have our welded on bracket. And the whole assembly up there, if you guys can see it, that Kryptonite control bar with the tie rod right there. Center link with the tie rod connected. Remember the measurement we did. You want to try to get it as close as possible. And now we're going right into the upper control arms. These red ones are coming out. So what I do is I make a little gauge. I make a little mark on the caster bolt right there. You can see where I made a little mark. I make a mark on every end just to get me close. So when I put the new ones in, I know where we're going. Here's our Kryptonite set. Upper control arms with the bolted on ball joints. I'm gonna go ahead and put these together. Show you guys how it looks. I have got the upper control arms in. What I did, guys, is I put a little mark with the marker on the caster and I lined it up as good as I can. If I'm a little bit off, the alignment shop will fix it, you know, but I lined them up as good as I can where they were originally. Put a mark on them on the new ones. I put a mark on the new ones for a reference and lined it up the best I could. Now what we're going to do is put our ball joint in the housing here. It goes on the bottom, so it goes on the bottom and it's going to be mounted up like that for so the strength goes up. Don't mount it on top. And these bolts here are going to be tightened to 22 foot-pounds. So let's get our torque wrench and adjust it to 22 foot-pounds and go ahead and get these upper ball joints tightened up. Now that I've got my upper control arm all mounted on and everything's tight, I'll show you what I had to do in order to get this control arm to fit inside of this. I had to come underneath to where my torsion keys are, and I undid this bolt all the way to back off the pressure of the torsion key, and I measured it with a tape measure. Up there you'll see a little half moon looking washer bolt. You're gonna go all the way up there and measure it. This was about 1.25 inches. So after you get the upper ball joint locked in and you get that bolt all the way tight, you're gonna go ahead and tighten this back up to where it was. The moment I've been waiting for. There we go, everybody. We've installed the upper control arms now and mounted the tires back on, ready for an alignment. It's been a good project, guys. Thank you for watching. We've installed the upper control arms, CV axles, tie rods, center link, ball joints. Let me come up under here and show you guys the center link. That's how we're gonna look when we're done here. Everything coordinates, matches up perfectly. I love it. What a nice job this was. We also did the steering box under here. Did a nice new steering box, and we bled the system. We did good, guys. Thank you for watching my first episode of Duramax Diaries. Until next time.